Welcome to my episode 14. The new year is upon us, and I am glad to share it with you all. This week, I looked back on many of the topics I covered this year, and one of my favorite episodes this year, an episode that was also very popular with the listeners, was the episode on Prohibition and speakeasies. There were so many stories I came across while researching that piece, and I wanted to keep telling some of those stories throughout this coming year. One particular yarn that left an impression on me is the story of George Remus. He was known as the King of the Bootleggers. Once you read his story, you do understand how he came to have that name. With Prohibition, most of the people bootlegging alcohol were criminals, and they had always been involved in a criminal lifestyle. These were people who started out in gambling, or vote rigging, or running brothels. But with Remus, he is one of the few bootleggers that was simply an established worker or businessman, and he saw an opportunity, and he decided to chase it. Remus was born in Germany in 1878. He moves to America with his parents when he is 4 and ends up in Chicago, where he grows up. His dad becomes unable to work, so Remus, by the time he is 14, is supporting the family, helping out in his uncle's pharmacy. He ends up becoming a pharmacist by 19 and then a business owner at 21 when he buys his uncle's pharmacy. He goes on to own several pharmacies, but by 24 he is tired of just running a pharmacy business and he becomes interested in the law. So interested that he actually becomes a certified lawyer, specializing in criminal defense, especially murder. He likely does this because you could make a ton of money in that particular profession in the 1900s. This is Chicago. There is a reason why that musical was so true to life. So Remus becomes a lawyer, and he was very famous for his law work, as he would come up with these unique defense strategies to help people avoid jail time. A few of those strategies still inform the way people practice law today. So one of his key defenses was the transitory insanity defense, what we now call the temporary insanity defense. Remus got married quite early on. Him and his first wife had one child, Romola, and Remus is well respected for his law work. He is known for his charisma and intelligence. He also works on fighting for labor rights and immigration rights as part of his law work. As a lawyer, he was earning about $500K a year, which is about 6.7 million in today's money. And when Prohibition came into being, Remus noticed that a lot of his criminal clients were suddenly becoming very, very wealthy, making his 500K look pretty forgettable. So he realizes, here's an opportunity. I may end up with some trouble on my hands, but the amount of money I'll be making will be worth the bother. He also realizes I will be a criminal, but as a lawyer, I can use my extensive knowledge of the law to escape punishment. I know what the loopholes are. I know how I can get around the issues the law will put forward. I know how to avoid going to prison. So he memorizes the Prohibition Act, called the Volstead Act. Part of that act says, only liquor for medicinal purposes can still be sold and bought. Remus is also still a pharmacist, so this whole prohibition thing is actually the dream opportunity for a pharmacist, lawyer, businessman, knows my way around criminals type of person. As a pharmacist, he knows how to make liquor, something that most of the people involved in the illegal alcohol trade did not know. They were criminals. They didn't know much about creating good quality liquor, but he actually does know how to get that premium quality distilled liquor taste. So he's going to do okay for himself. He starts off by moving away from Chicago to set up his alcohol empire because he knows that there is way too much competition and murder in Chicago over the alcohol trade. Also, everyone knows at that time that bootleg liquor comes from Chicago, so if you are elsewhere, that means less suspicion falls on you. People aren't going to believe that you're involved in bootlegging liquor if you live in Iowa, say. So he moves to Cincinnati. This is also a really good move for him as Cincinnati is very close to a lot of grain fields. So the grain for his alcohol manufacture, his whiskey manufacture, is all around him and very cheap to transport to where he needs it to be. He buys distilleries. Many of them were being shut down because of Prohibition. He buys trucks to move his product, and he also opens up distilleries of his own. He starts making alcohol and puts it into bottles. He would sell some of this alcohol to doctors, which legally he could do, but when he was delivering his liquor to the various doctors, the various hospitals, he would pay people to intercept his trucks and steal off with the liquor. The thieves would then take the stolen alcohol to one of Remus's factories, and he would add some more and sell it on to ordinary bars and speakeasies. So as far as police are concerned, he has lost his product, and he gets to make money not only from the doctors, but the real cash from the rest of society. In about 2 years, Remus owns 35% of the bootleg alcohol market. He has made about $40 million. That's roughly 900 million in today's money, and he has 3,000 people working for him. He owns many of America's best distilleries, and even to this day he has bourbons that go by his name because that's how much of a mark he made on the alcohol trade. His product was some of the best out there. Other people were busy mixing in wood chips and rat tails to try and get their drink to taste like alcohol, while he knew exactly how to produce a real alcoholic beverage. So it was very Breaking Bad 1920s edition, and his supply was a good bet for a lot of people. He gets so ridiculously rich that he just starts living the high life. He marries a second wife, who was a bit of a gold digger. They used to hold a lot of lavish parties. They had a house they called the Marble Palace, and his wealth was such that a lot of the Great Gatsby, that Jay Gatsby character, the way he spent his money, the kind of parties he hosted, they're based on George Remus. Because F. Scott Fitzgerald did actually meet Remus a couple of times and partied with him, and he knew the kind of scale of parties Remus was throwing. In one particular party, I will tell you what happens, but it will be in the next episode of Abbie Thoughts. Do tune in and find out what happens to old Remus as he starts to spend, like hopefully our government will this year. So, whatever you're doing today to ring in the new year, I hope it is joyous and fills you with great cheer for this coming year. Do comment, subscribe. Do check in with me next episode. And all the love and light for 2023. Bye!